Okay. And I'm going to get onto that right now to live on Facebook. Okay, enter description, day one. And also, if when we start, I'm going to make a place where people can have questions. I have a slideshow, but I'm trying to customize this for everyone that's on here and so they can get the most value out of that. And the benefit of coming on the live Zoom is you have access to me. So there's been a lot of people that sent questions. There's been a lot of people that have asked questions about things, fasting and the order you do things in. We'll go over some of those basic stuff, where cravings come from. But I love customized questions. I have no problem. I've been doing these online things. I have my own paid groups as well for the last 3 or 4 years. So I have a lot of experience interacting with people. So day one, weight loss and cravings. And I'm going to put it onto the page, onto a group, and unfair. There it is. Right, that's preparing as being live streamed. So got it. So that should be into the group. So if people don't miss this Zoom meeting, it's going to be in the group. The other thing that I do in this group is I do record these and they will be broadcast into that free group, but I don't leave them up forever. I have found that, in weight loss and getting healthy and gut health and these free groups that I do, as well as the groups that people pay me, the biggest problem is accountability. If I do these recordings and I leave them up, the majority of people will think they'll be up forever and they won't watch them. When there is a deadline or it's going to be up for like 2 days, I also record these for my own purpose. People will do the work. Like, you guys are showing up, you guys are doing the work. And I also want people to do the work and get the results. And the people who do the work get the results. But that's for another story. People are sending me messages they can't get on. They're going to have to figure it out because I'm not answering everybody in these chats that everyone can't get on. So anyway, just remember, this is not a doctor-patient relationship. Everyone's doing this on your own. I do not treat, diagnose, or manage diseases here. I don't want people to think that I treat any kind of problems. I'm a chiropractor. We don't treat symptoms. We don't diagnose people. That's medicine. Medicine manages and diagnoses diseases. Health doctors and chiropractors say that if your body's healthy, it can fix almost anything that's wrong with it. And we don't have to know what the diagnosis is. The body will fix it. And that's the philosophy that we've always had in chiropractic. Like, I don't treat sciatica. I don't treat migraine headaches. I don't treat autoimmune diseases. I don't treat any of that. But guess what? A lot of people have amazing results in those things because those have common denominators: inflammation, giving the body too much sugar, toxicity, eating too much and eating too often, all of those things. Let me see. I'm getting messages in here and I'm trying to get this out of here. I knew this would happen. I sent out a ton of emails. I sent out everything that people needed to do this. All right. Okay, so let's get back to this. Again, don't treat disease here. All right, and please post any questions you have in the chat on Zoom or in the live Facebook feed if you're watching this on the computer, and I will try to check them as we go along. You'll get more out of this the more you interact. So today's day one: intermittent fasting, cravings, weight loss. My story and why I started doing this. Well, I'll keep the short version, is that when I was younger, I was 16, I got hit in the head playing basketball. I was a freshman in high school, and I got hit really hard, and I had to have stitches in the back of my head. But within that day, I must have had a bad concussion. But as the days went on, I got worse headaches. I started having blackouts. My brain stopped working as well as it should, and I started declining academically. And I had to go to neurologists. I had to go to all these doctors, and no one could figure out. They didn't know what it was. They thought it was, scar tissue in my brain. They thought it was things like that. And my dad, who was a chiropractor, tried to help me. He took me to other holistic doctors, functional medicine doctors. I went to an Ayurvedic doctor in Massachusetts, and I got little glimpses of things, but they never really, they could diagnose me. They thought it was possibly on the edge of epileptic seizure problems, migraine headaches, post-concussion syndrome. The words went out, and everyone had take this migraine headache medication, take this. And then I would feel like crap. I couldn't focus. My grades were declining. Even socially, I wasn't interacting with people. I couldn't focus, and it was a big mess. Well, I went through high school, my grades went down, and then the guidance counselor told my dad, your son's not smart enough to go on to college. You should send him to a vocational school. Wasn't a big deal, but I wasn't accepting that. So I tried to go to college, and I tried hard, and it was difficult for me. And I came out, and I said, I got to try to figure this out. So I started going to my own doctors and going to functional medicine doctors. And I found my way down to Arkansas to this chiropractor who was more of a mind body doctor, and started saying that at the time, my mom and dad were going through a hard time, and they were on the verge of splitting up, and it was causing a lot of stress. And then it was socially, I was at a new school, and he didn't think it was only the head injury. He think the head injury and the emotional trauma went in together and caused me to have these problems. And my symptoms were my solution. That was the first time I ever heard anyone say that your symptoms are your solution. I was like, what are you talking about? He says, let me explain. When you have stress, instead of it making you sick inside, your body's giving you headaches and blackouts so you can't think of your stress. Now, have you ever had a migraine headache, a sciatica, a problem, a symptom, a pain so bad that you couldn't focus and function? That's your body protecting it. That is the solution, not the cause of the problem. So your body's trying to survive. So your body wasn't meant to be healthy. It wasn't meant to be sick. It was meant to survive. It survives at all costs. So a lot of times the diseases and the symptoms that we get are your body trying to distract you from the real stresses of life, and it's trying to buy you time. Long story short, this guy put me on a good vegetable diet with low carb, more on the keto-like diet, which I didn't know about, and there wasn't much about it at the time. Worked on me, did some energy work. It's called Best Work. We do it at our office. I was so impressed by it that I had to go to school to be a chiropractor. I was going to school to be an engineer, and I switched careers into chiropractic because this guy saved my life. He sent me in a different direction. He enlightened me to the fact that your habits, your diet, what you think about. So he had a thing on a scale, the 6 essentials of life: what you eat, drink, exercise, rest, what you breathe, and what you think about. What you think about is probably 90% of your problem. So if you're having a lot of stress and building toxins, what is your solution to that? Your body retains water to dilute the toxins. It's almost like if someone gave you a really concentrated glass of orange juice, the way to make it taste better is to dilute it with ice or water. So most of people's fat problems and weight problems, at least 50% of it is inflammation. Your body's trying to dilute the toxicity. Yes, can you not hear me? So that's where a lot of people's symptoms come from, is that their body is trying to fix a problem. So let's say you go on all these weight loss jabs. Let's say you try to trick the body into losing weight, but you're not getting to the real cause of it, which is the toxicity or the emotional stress or the gut problem. You'll lose weight, but you will not get to the problem, and it will not be long lasting, and you won't have the other benefits of it. It's actually going to cause more problems, because why? If you get rid of the water, let's say you took a diuretic and you got rid of the water, you could lose weight. What happens then? You're more toxic now. Now you're going to have more problems and more likely to get sick than if you didn't do that. So a lot of your weight problems are your solution, not your problem. And this is what I learned with longevity. This is what I learned with quality of life, what you want to accomplish. All of these things is that what you think about, your habits mean a lot. And you have to get to the cause. We're all on a journey. When you get a problem in life, even if you're wealthy, you can't focus on anything but getting healthy. That's why I named my podcast Healthy, Wealthy. That's why people in their young ages try to build wealth at the expense of their health. And then when they get older, they try to use the wealth to buy back their health. And if you don't want to do that, you need a why. That's my podcast on Apple. We interview people on their why in life, on health and wealth, that you can build both simultaneously. And I believe that health is a form of wealth. And hold on one second, because some people have messaged me. Okay. Okay. Let me see here. Let me go on to this. So while I'm waiting here to send somebody a message here, does anyone have any questions so far? Does anyone want to come on and talk about something? We're going to go into more detail, like what breaks a fast, what's the benefits of fasting. We're going to go over a little bit about intermittent fasting, and those kind of things. But let me get to this first. Invite, copy to clipboard, and now let me go to this and go to this and here. Okay, there, I sent the Zoom link onto the group chat, so everyone should have it now. So in this group, we're going to go through a 5-day journey on today's weight loss and cravings, tomorrow's inflammation. I'll come up on the next page soon that it'll show the whole agenda, but pick one outcome. Keep it really simple of why you're doing this. You want to lose weight, you want to lose inches, you want to deal with metabolic syndrome, blood pressure, hip to waist ratio, cholesterol, fasting blood sugar. This is not just a weight loss program. If you do what I say and you start getting into healthy habits, this is what's going to make your body age more gracefully. It's going to improve your longevity. It's going to improve your brain fog, your focus, your ability to reduce chronic inflammation. And you might notice that a lot of your chronic symptoms that no one else can figure out, the chronic ones, seem to go away. Like seasonal allergies get reduced greatly, bloating, your ability to sleep, the brain fog, your mood improves, because all these things are connected. And I'm going to show you some of the ways that they're connected. But you pick one outcome that you want to have from this free challenge, and that which is measured improves. That which is measured and documented improves exponentially. There's a daily check-in. We already had one today. A whole bunch of people checked in. This is partially an information webinar and partially more or less an accountability of getting people to do the work. And there's 3 levels of participation. You got spectators. Some people have been doing spectating for the last 2 to 3 years with all my free stuff. They spectate, they watch everything, which is fine, but they don't apply much of it. They might start little pieces of it and not do it. They do some intermittent fasting. And what happens? They get very mediocre results as a spectator. Then you got the starters, and then you got the finishers. A lot of people don't finish what they start. And so success is like an iceberg. What people see is the trophies up in the top, but what the real stuff that gets success is sacrifice and staying healthy and good habits and focus and just dealing with disappointment and persistence and dealing with expenses and time management and determination and all the things that go into it. And you got to start being sick and tired of your own shit, your own poor choices, your own patterns, your own behavior. You got to start being sick and tired of it. That's when you start making the changes that you need to be made in your life so you can level up. Or else, if you don't get sick of it, you're going to go through life and eventually, unfortunately, a lot of people get sick. And then they wish with all their might that there was a solution, and they frantically go around versus trying to live a healthy life. And it happens to so many people, and it's unfortunate, but it happens to a lot. And this is why I started this program. Why? Because I see a lot of people. There's 2 reasons I started this particular program. One, my mom died last year, and her brother died 5 years earlier of type 2 diabetes. She had bipolar. She suffered. I went to a lot of the doctor's meetings with her, and the advice was nauseating, eat 6 meals a day, and we went on metformin, and then the next thing you know, she's taking fast-acting insulin, and I didn't know as much as I did now about the time, but I was asking the doctor, like, "You're not if she's sensitive to insulin and you're giving her fast-acting insulin, what's gonna happen?" "Oh, that's what she needs to have." "But isn't she insulin resistant?" "So that's not an insulin problem, that's a cellular is the cells are rejecting insulin. The sugar's not getting into there. And so you're bypassing it with your fast acting insulin." And I asked the doctor, I already knew the answer. "What does metformin do?" "Oh, it lowers your blood sugar." "How? Where does the blood sugar go?" "You know what it does? It pushes it into the muscles. So it gets out of your blood. So your blood sugar is low, but now your muscles are caked up with sugar. And what do your muscles have in them? Mitochondria. They have all the ability to make energy. So what happens when that metformin? You have no energy because now your cells are already insulin resistant, and now the cells aren't getting sugar into them because insulin is like a key that opens the door to allow sugar in. And the problem with type 2 or hyperinsulinemia, which is type 2 diabetes, is that you're hypersensitive to insulin and the cells start rejecting it. Because if you give anything too much to the body, it starts to reject it. That's what type 2 is. Type 1 is different. Type 1 is like an autoimmune, usually, where the immune system attacks the pancreas and the beta cells at a young age, and you can't make insulin. You have to be on insulin for that. But type 2 is acquired 90 to 95% of the time. It's reversible, and it's a huge problem. They estimate 130 million plus people in this country. 60 to 70% of this country is pre-diabetic right now. And now you're starting to see in the kids, fatty livers, non-alcoholic fatty livers. Do you know what those are? Well, those used to be only for alcoholics. Now, 20% of the kids have fatty livers, and about 45% of adults have fatty livers. And that's from too much sugar. And then the liver converts unusable hormones to usable hormones. And then what do you get? You get fatty liver, and then you get hormone conversion problems. And what do you get? Thyroid problems. You get hypothyroid problems. You get weight problems, metabolism problems, menopausal problems. We'll go over that in day 4, like menopausal problems, perimenopausal cycle problems. Men get IMS. You ever hear of that? Irritable male syndrome. Their hormones go up and down way more than women's do. Women's are pretty stable. Men's are all over the place, and testosterone's affected by diet, by mood. And no guy wants to ever admit that they have problems, but they have tons of problems from all these things. And so it's a big, giant mess. So you can and you will. Consistency is the key to success. Let me get this up here and bring this over here a little bit more. If plan A didn't work, the alphabet has 25 more letters. Simplicity and consistency are the keys to success when you're trying anything. And of course, having the mindset to do this. Now, some of the other people, I have plenty of testimonials. This is Paula here. She had lost 41 pounds. Feels amazing. Reaching her 2022, getting old isn't easy, and I need to be in the best health I can be to age gracefully. Welcome, everyone. Trust me, you won't be disappointed. Yes, 44 pounds, 37 total inches lost, BMI down 7 points, body fat down 18 points, energy way up. Now having rapid eye movement, sleep, inflammation gone, no need for Aleve or aspirin in 3 months. If you're on the fence about this program, try it. Well, this was when I had a little bit smaller program because I started with a 4-week program, and then I found out it wasn't long enough. People weren't getting the results, and they weren't doing it consistently long enough to get the results. And there's not another weight loss program. What's the quality of life, reaching a certain age, achieving or being able to do certain things as you get older, grandchildren, younger partner, you saw your parents and other members of your family suffer or pass early, you think you got dealt a bad set of genes. Action is more important than knowledge. I think that in all the books that I've read, genes contribute about 10% to your longevity and your health, and 90% of it's lifestyle. With better lifestyles, you can change which genes get activated, whether the genes that cause you more to be more on the sick side or on the healthy side, to age faster or slower. And a lot of people blame, well, my parents had these genes, and I totally despise these genetic tests that people get because I think it predisposes them in their mindset that they're going to get sick and they freak out about it. And you can change, it's called epigenetics, above genetics. I did a podcast episode on this with somebody on there, that your lifestyle and your inflammation levels and your toxicity levels determine which genes get activated, not your what's actually happening. So it's amazing. And people do not decide their futures, they decide their habits, and their habits decide their futures. So this is the schedule. Tonight's weight loss, cravings, how to lose up to 2 to 4 pounds a week. Tuesday, tomorrow's inflammation. Wednesday's gut health. Thursday is metabolism, mental pause, balancing hormones. And I think I'm going to move that Friday one to maybe Saturday morning, because Friday's not a good night for a lot of people. And we could always switch it up to Saturday morning. I can change that, but habits, accountability, and things to do to live longer and more gracefully, to extend our window of time on this planet and improve our quality of life. And success, turning knowledge into action. We need more consistency and speed of implementation. And before I started doing these challenges, I knew a lot, but did not take a lot of action. And success is not working harder, it's working smarter. How this challenge works: action-based daily check-ins, 3 things to do daily: water intake, intermittent fasting, exercise. I ask about keeping it real. Don't lie. If you didn't do your exercise, one of my things in my program, and these are my customized hats, are reasons or results. You can't have both. So you either have results or excuses, and done is better than perfect. Start getting the habit of getting stuff done. If you're not an exerciser, if you're not a person who does fasting, start becoming that. Stop making excuses and start drinking more water with electrolytes if you want to get rid of your hunger. Start exercising consistently. A great way to exercise is a 10-minute walk after every meal. Really helps your digestion and boost your metabolism. That's another biohack there. I mean, a lot of people don't do it, but 10-minute walk after each meal. So problem: we eat too much, we eat too often, we eat too much sugar and carbs. This causes hormonal imbalances, which cause craving. Now, there's a lot of hormones that are involved with cravings. I'm going to focus on the main one, which is insulin. You got glucagon, you got leptin, you got just all these other ones. We don't need to, I dive into those deeper in my other 12-week programs. I don't need to dive into those. For what you need to understand is that having all this knowledge doesn't help your case. You have to start doing the work. That's where I introduce the daily check-ins, and I do this in this group, because then I give people small action steps every day. They start doing the work. In our bigger program, we do those 3 things, and we do journaling and meditation, and then we do the happy, the crappy, the accountability, and the praise. The happy is what worked for you today. The crappy is what didn't work. The praise is what are you thankful for? And the accountability is what do you want the group to hold you accountable for? And that's what I find gets people results, is not just talking about it, but doing it. And are you always hungry? Cravings are hormonal. When insulin goes up, when you eat carbs, your insulin goes up. And then after a couple of hours, it starts to go down. When it starts to go down, it triggers the hunger hormones, which makes you hungry. This is what happens to your body during the fast. For the first 4 to 8 hours, blood sugar falls and insulin is no longer produced. So the first 4 hours, you produce a lot of insulin. Then once the insulin starts pushing the sugar into your cells, that's when your body starts to reduce inflammation, and that's when the blood sugar starts to fall and insulin is no longer produced. After 12 hours of not eating, food consumed is burned, your HGH starts to increase. That's interesting. That's your human growth hormone. Why does that? Because your body, when it needs fuel. And when your blood sugar starts to go down, your body, being smart, would say, I'm going to eat your liver and your heart. I need energy. What does HGH do? It says, don't touch my organs. Go look somewhere else. Where does it look? The waistline, the big muffin top belly, the fat around your arms. The clogged arteries, the fat in your liver, your body's super smart. It starts to look around. Scar tissue, it starts to look for different things. And the body at 16 hours then ramps up fat burning. Then at 18 hours, HGH starts to skyrocket. 24 hours, autophagy begins and drains all glycogen stores. Glycogen is fat. You know, did you know that you can only have about 5 to 6 grams of sugar? That's a little bit over a teaspoon of sugar in your whole bloodstream at a time. So if someone drinks a Mountain Dew, which has 75 grams or 80 grams of sugar, where does that sugar go to? The sugar gets converted to fat in the liver. Glucose gets converted to glycogen in the liver. And what happens? If there's too much, the liver gets fat. And when the liver gets fat, that's one of the storage places for excess sugar in the sense of fat is the liver. When the liver gets clogged up, it starts putting it in the muscles. When the muscles get clogged up with fat, it starts storing it in the cells. And when the cells can't deal with it anymore, it gets into your bloodstream and your cholesterol starts to go up. And you start to get clogged arteries and you start to get high cholesterol and A1C problems because now the liver can't convert that excess sugar into fat anymore. And then it starts attaching to your red blood cells, which allows your body to not transport oxygen. It becomes a giant mess. And so we get down to here, 48 hours, the immune system resets to reduce the inflammatory response. Autophagy increases by 300% at 36 hours, and 72 hours, autophagy maxes out and plateaus. So intermittent fasting, by most definitions, at about 48 to 72 hours. Most people are not doing intermittent fasting, right? They think 16 hours is intermittent fasting. It is not. 16 hours is skipping one meal. And what makes or breaks a fast is what you eat before and after the fast. Now look at some of this. This is an interesting one. Complications of hyperinsulinemia. This is type 2 diabetes. The cells are hypersensitive to insulin. So you got neuropsychiatric, Alzheimer's, dementias, peripheral neuropathy, retinopathy. They say that type 3 diabetes is going to be Alzheimer's. That's what they're calling it now because the brain becomes insulin resistant. Diabetes type 2, hypertriglyceridemia, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. There it is. Then endocrine, chronic inflammation, fatty liver, obesity, and polycystic ovarian syndrome, and cancers, and neurology, erectile dysfunction, nephropathy, tinnitus, vertigo, Meniere's disease, ringing in the ears, dizziness. How many people have that? A ton, I can tell you. They all come into my office with it all the time. And circulatory, arteriosclerosis, and cardiomyopathy, and it's skeletal, osteoporosis, and inflammation, osteoarthritis, and all these problems, they all have a common theme. Insulin, you need to make energy in your body. That's your metabolism. That's going to be more tomorrow night. But if you can't get energy to your cells, what happens? You start to make a ton of inflammation and you start to make a ton of toxicity, and then your body tries to dilute it. So you don't have a weight problem. Most of you have an hyperinsulinemia problem, the beginning of type 2 diabetes, if it's not already there, with some of the other things like the non-alcoholic fatty liver disease and the inflammation and the hyperinsulinemia. And then that affects your hormones because your liver converts unusable hormones to usable hormones, and it's a giant mess. This is kind of how insulin resistance happens. You get increased carb cravings, you get chronic carb consumption, blood glucose goes up, your pancreas makes more insulin. After you make too much insulin, your cells become sensitive to insulin and it doesn't work anymore. So what happens? That sugar can't get into your cells. Your liver has to try to deal with it. The cells struggle to produce enough energy. More insulin is tried to be produced. Inflammation skyrockets. And then what happens when your body can't make energy and the insulin starts to go down? You crave like crazy, and cravings are hormonal. Another little diagram of insulin resistance. This is a chart. Look at the sugar consumption from 1822 to 2005. It was about 100. Now they estimate it's 150 to 160 pounds of sugar per person per year, every man, woman, and child in this country. And what are calories? Calories are units of heat. Everyone's like, oh, you got to watch your calories. And people argue with me constantly about this online. I don't try to argue with people. And if anyone could give me something that makes more sense than what I currently believe, I have the ability to admit that I was wrong and to change my mind. I've been doing this because my mother died of type 2, my uncle had problems, and all these people struggle with common issues, inflammation and gut problems and brain fog and trouble sleeping and mental clarity and hormonal imbalances and immune system deficiencies. And now we've got mental health issues in our kids. A lot of this is being driven by the blood sugar problems. So, all right, if we were going to say calories mean something, what do you need? Your body needs about 2,400 to 2,600 calories a day. Now, if you go on a workout on the treadmill at the gym, which everyone thinks they can burn more calories, it's 200 to 400 calories. If you do intermittent fasting for 16, 18 hours, you're burning about 1,400 calories. Which one do you think is more efficient? I could put you on a 4,000 calorie a day diet, not allow you to exercise and let you get 5 to 6 hours of sleep, which is supposed to make you gain weight and still get you to lose weight if you do it the right way and you're not having a lot of carbs. I wouldn't do that, but that was documented in Dave Asprey's book, the Bulletproof Diet book, that he did that for a while, and to prove a point that it's not the calories, it's the sugar. And when you start metabolizing fat, you make 3 times as much energy and 30 times less inflammation. And you can metabolize fat in different ways. You don't have to go on a keto diet. I found that fasting and intermittent fasting and rotational fasting is where it's at. And new 2023, this should be called the Do What You Said You Were Going to Do challenge. Success will not be one of wishful thinking. There's a difference between knowing the path and walking the path. Now, I am having a 90-day challenge coming up, from full disclosure, September 5th. Weekly Zoom meetings, daily check-ins, access to me, action results oriented. I've taken over 100 people through this program in the last 3 years. That was 2 years there. If anyone wants to know more about it and get on a discovery call, I can send you more information. There are still some deeply discounted spots. And what I'm doing is, it's 3 months, but I'm actually adding the month of December for free because I don't start mine until January, February, my next challenge is. And there's accountability involved. There's weekly Zoom meetings like this every Monday night or Tuesday night. There's daily videos. There's daily check-ins. Everyone has access to me. I have about 30 or 40 pre-done videos on how to make the perfect breakfast, lunch, dinner, meal plans, supplements, the best MCT oils that I found, the best places to get the right brands. And I've really worked hard to make this right and affordable for people as well. But the normal price is $497. And if they buy one, gift one, I also offer a discount for that. So 2023, 3 questions. Where are you currently? Where's your weight, inflammation, levels of fitness, mentally, spiritually, financially, overall health? That which is measured improves. You have to have a way to measure it. And I don't like to measure health by how much you weigh only. You could do BMI. You can do heart rate variability. Has anyone, raise your hand, has anyone done HRV? And do you know what that is? Heart rate variability is the new watches that are coming out can measure that. And that is a way to measure the space between each heartbeat, and it should be variable. If you eat the wrong food, it messes up the heart rate variability. If you do the wrong activity. So if you want to see if CrossFit is messing up your health, you see what happens for the next 2 hours after you do a CrossFit workout, after you eat a certain way. Vegetarian diets, they have a lot of oxalates in them. So sometimes those can trigger the heart rate variability. Stresses, sitting in the hot tub too long. You can start to get feedback from your own body with these heart rate variability watches that they have, and you can get a monitor yourself. And if you know how to read it, you could start finding out which is the perfect diet that your body likes, because each of us is different. And that's where you can start to measure how your health is, how alkaline or acidic you are, what's your BMI, what's your percent body fat. I have handheld body fat meters at the office that anyone would pop in. If you're a patient at the office, you can use it if you want to see where your baseline is. It gives you their percent body fat and your BMI. So who do you need to become to get what you want to do? And what is the way of getting there? Is it work? Is it your job? Is it money, time management, kids, fatigue, out of shape, beliefs, current routines and habits? Usually it's a combination of all. And a lot of people, it's their beliefs. Some people don't think they're attractive. And what happens? They keep, with the laws of attraction, they keep eating and doing things that makes them not look attractive. Some of these things are very deeply mental. And the second part of my program, the first 6 weeks, we focus on diet and inflammation and fasting. And the second half, we go into biohacking, mindset, laws of attraction, quantum physics, finding your why, forgiveness, writing down. I have a GSD guide, which is called the Getting Shit Done Guide. It breaks it down into your 30, 60, and 90 day, 1 and 5 and 10-year goals of targets of where you want to be. You put it in a binder, and it gives you weekly things to do to start to break down longer term goals into shorter term goals. And that's what's in the way, organization. So the fat around your waist is not the same fat that you eat. Who are you? What do you want? What are you willing to do to give it up to get it? And how do you not go back to your old self? So problem solution system. We have inflammation, our gut's a mess. It messes up our brain health. The mitochondria is screwed up. That's the cells that make energy. Calories versus carbs. That's an old myth. Can you boost metabolism? I say you can't. Metabolism is a set thing. You don't boost metabolism. Most people's metabolism is affected because they're not eating right. So when they return eating, their metabolism goes back to a normal metabolism. You're not boosting it. And then they start losing weight, bringing down inflammation, having more energy, and being able to think clearly again. So reality, do you take responsibility for where you currently are? Do you feel lost, overwhelmed, frustrated? You need to sort fact from fantasy. When you know the why, the how will show itself. The game is rigged against us. TV, ads, commercials, new fad things. It's all over the place trying to influence people to buy stuff. And this is some facts in type 2 diabetes. It's when your cells have been exposed to too much insulin, it's type 2, 130 million. What caused diabetes? Although not everyone with type 2 is overweight, obesity and an inactive lifestyle, two of the most common causes of type 2 diabetes, but I'd say diet. So sugar is as addictive as alcohol and goes through the same pathways of the brain as alcohol. Why do we stop? How do we stop the cycle? You need to understand insulin is the hormone that transports sugar into cells. When it drops, cravings set in. And when we crave, we self-sabotage. When we eat too much carbs and the insulin activating foods, our cells become insulin resistant. We have to address insulin resistance if we're going to have any type of success and make this easier. And cravings are a good indicator of how healthy you are. If you can't go all day without eating and you're lightheaded and you can't focus and you feel starving and the feeling of just wanting to eat, then you already have type 2 most likely. That's the reality of it. And when you start metabolizing fat, preferably your own fat, and you don't have to eat more healthy fat from your diet. The problem in the beginning is that if you're insulin resistant and your cells aren't making energy properly, you might need some healthy fat to reduce cravings. A scoop of butter, a scoop of coconut oil, putting that in your coffee to offset electrolytes, things to offset cravings in the beginning so you're somewhat functioning. And then as you go through, you won't need to do that anymore. And what'll happen is I don't need coffee anymore. I sit, I spend 2 to 3 minutes every day in the cold shower or the cold tub. That's better than coffee. I'll have decaf coffee because I like the taste of coffee, but I don't have any caffeine in it. And a lot of times I'll skip it. It's acidic and I'm trying to wean my way off of it, even though I like the taste of it. I don't need it anymore. I don't need caffeine. I got plenty of energy. So when insulin drops, you crave food. This is why cravings are hormonal. You do not need insulin to metabolize fat. So I was asking the people, what do people need more of? Do you need more info? Do you need more accountability? And it's going to be in a second. Ask me question. We don't need it. So frequently asked questions. Here's where we can open up to some questions. So what breaks a fast? To me, an insulin response is what breaks a fast. So not necessarily just eating food. Like if you put some high fat, if you put some butter and coconut oil, which is like a bulletproof coffee in the morning, in your coffee and zip it up in a heat resistant blender, like my Vitamixer or a handheld zip mixer. You'll mix up that coffee, you drink it. And now if your body's, that makes you not so hungry and it starts you metabolizing some fat. And there's hacks into that as well, how to make the coffee more alkaline. I'm not going to go into all that here. Um, there's also certain things you can put in it that reduces your hunger and makes you make more energy for longer. And once you start to get into that, you get into the fat burning mode faster. So what breaks a fast? Insulin response. So if you would like, technically some people will say, look, well, if you eat eggs, but definitely if you eat oatmeal, toast, if you eat any kind of carbs, cereal, bagels, bread, waffles, those definitely break fast. Orange juice will break a fast. Glass of water, some butter and some coconut oil in your coffee will not break a fast. Eggs will break a fast because they have fat and protein in them, but not a big insulin response because of the fat and the protein. So does what you eat before and after a fast make or break? Absolutely. If you start going back to your old diet after 16 hours of eating and just have a sandwich with chips for lunch, that's all you're doing is 16 hours of not eating. You're not really fasting. What we're trying to do with fasting is get our body to metabolize energy differently and stop relying on sugar and start converting fat into energy. And the healthier we are and the more our body burns through that fatty liver, it extends that window out. And there's ways to get rid of some of that fatty liver. There's supplements, there's things that you can drink, things that you can take to get rid of the fatty liver faster so that your body can start converting that fat into energy more efficiently. And the more it can do that, either your own body fat or the fat from your diet, the less hungry you're going to be, the longer you can fast, and then you can start getting the benefits of those 24, 48, 72-hour fast. That's what our goal is in the 3-month program is. By the first month, I get people on a 24-hour fast. By the second month, we go to 48. On the third month, we go to a 72. And it's not overnight. It's gradually doing it so that we don't have the side effects of detox, of burning the toxins get stored in the fat cells. So if you do this too fast and you just go cold turkey, 72-hour fast, you're not going to like me. You're not going to like anyone for that matter for a while. All right. So next we got success is 20% info, 80% accountability or action. Success comes from making something simple in a habit. And my group, the tenets of the group, complexity is the enemy of execution. If you don't make it simple, you don't do it long-term. And the big 30,000-foot view is you don't have to be super strict if you want to lose weight, if you want to bring down inflammation. You have to be strict in the beginning if you have a set of goals. Let's say your goal is to lose 30, 40 pounds. I mean, I've seen that dropped in a month or two. And I've seen some people lose 2 or 3 pounds and then they barely moved anything. Remember, your body's not going to fix what you want it to fix first. It's going to fix whatever's most likely to kill you. So if you have precancerous cells and you have toxins, it's going to deal with that before it's going to deal with your weight problem. Let's say your thyroid isn't working right. Let's say your heart is not making energy properly. Let's say that your liver, I mean, the most important organs are your brain, your heart, your liver, your pancreas, your reproductive organs. That's where the most mitochondria are. That's what needs the most energy. Those are the things that have a problem. That's why PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. What's happening? The ovaries need to make energy. What happens when you have insulin resistance? They're not making energy. They're making inflammation. And now the immune system looks at them and says that those don't belong here. And it starts attacking them. And that's where you get cysts on your ovaries. That's almost like an autoimmune problem. But you got to understand the immune system is where inflammation comes from. We'll talk about that more tomorrow night. So done is better than perfect. Oh my God, this is a life-changing sentence for a lot of people because people are perfectionists. They wait for the perfect moments, the perfect things to work out. And that's why they never do commit to anything because they're waiting for the perfect time to do something. There's never a perfect time. The summer sucks. It's the 4th of July and Memorial Day and the Christmas time and Thanksgiving. There's never a perfect time to do it. There's always conflict. But done is better than perfect. We got to start getting in the mindset of getting stuff done, not perfect. Action is more important than knowledge. We are all in this together. And don't just start something, finish whatever you're doing. I hope that with this 5-day challenge, whatever you learn from it, that you start to apply it more longer term so that you can start to get your health at a better level. And don't forget, some of you have let your health go too long. It could take a year or 2 or 3 to get your health back, even if you're doing the right things and working on your microbiome, gut health, you're working on fasting, you're working on detox, because these things don't happen overnight. They take a long time to develop, and they could take a long time to develop the other way. And all growth happens outside the comfort zone. If you really want to get out of your comfort zone in this group, post a picture of yourself or a short, less than 2-minute video of why you joined this group. You'll be surprised at the power of like-minded group. What I'm going to stop for a second here is I'm just going to look on to see if it's going in live and see if anyone has any questions or anything's on the chat. There's 6 people watching, and we got some curious about the fasting. So someone, I can hear you. I'm curious about the fasting. As someone that's passed out from my blood sugar dropping at age 8, age 11. So, yep. All right. So there's some questions on there. If anyone has any, if you're live on watching this, I'm looking at the live feed with my cell phone. I'd be happy to answer questions. Oh, and you know what else I need? If you hold on 1 second. There we go. These are my blue light canceling glasses. If you look at LED lights too long, it tells your brain that it's 12 o'clock noon and you can't sleep at night. So in the biohacking part of my program, we talk about getting a better night's sleep, reducing inflammation on the body, and using things like these glasses are ways to block the blue light from coming in. And I know what the best glasses are. So since all growth happens out, if you're watching this, post a picture of yourself or a short, less than 2-minute video if you really want to get out of your comfort zone of why you joined. What do you want out of this group? And why did you join? The top 7 reasons people join when they mention it on the chat is fatigue, they got brain fog, trouble sleeping, weight loss, bloating, overwhelm or stress, chronic pain or inflammation. And I've read a lot of the comments and reasons people have started. It's about 50-50. 50% of the people need more accountability and discipline. 50% need weight loss. Weight loss and cravings are easy to deal with than accountability and discipline. And then never mind mindset, but that's another thing. But consistency over intensity. That's what people in business, people in the gym, people in diets, they don't do is they don't have consistency. They start off too intense. New Year's, the parking lots are filled with people who are trying to lose weight and get in shape. And by February, the parking lots are back empty again because they try to go 5 days a week instead of doing a goal of twice a week for 10 minutes, which would be an easier attainable goal. And there's the brain reward cascade. What happens? Every time I do something, I did it, I feel better about myself. I want to do it again because I feel good. That's how you do. So if you have 50 pounds to lose, don't think about it as 50 pounds to lose. You have 1 pound to lose. And when you lose that pound, you're a success. It feels so good. I want to lose another one. Because if you have 50 pounds to lose and you only lose 1, your mind might think I came up 49 pounds short. And that's telling it something that's negative. That's the laws of attraction. I don't make the rules up. I just know a lot about quantum physics and how you talk to yourself. And that is a big one for people. They don't talk to themselves the proper way, and they talk themselves out of success all day long. They attract, I don't know if, because most of your success is subconscious. It is not the conscious mind. You can talk to yourself all day long of, I got this, but deep down in your beliefs and in your subconscious, do you believe that? And if you do, the things that you want to attract into your life will come to you. And if you don't believe that, no matter how much effort you put in, not going to happen because your brain is the most important part of your body. Now, what about metabolic shift diets? The 30,000-foot view is keto diets and metabolic shift diets are different. I don't like low carb diets for long term. They starve the gut bacteria. They cause all kinds of problems over the long term. So what's a metabolic shift diet? You want to get to a point where you're got a metabolic adaptability, which means you can burn sugar or fat and go back and forth effortlessly. Most people can only burn sugar because they've been used to doing that for so long. They have insulin resistance. They can't burn fat. When you start to burn fat, it's amazing. Your body makes way less inflammation. The inflammation reduces the swelling on the receptors, your hormone receptors, your brain receptors, your neurotransmitters start to work again. Your gut inflammation goes down. All these things cascade, and you start to build health from the inside out, which is the chiropractic principle of up, down, inside out. Health comes from God down, from the inside out, not from the outside in. Anything from the outside in is not as healthy as the inside out. So there are healthy and unhealthy ways to go into fat burning mode. I like fasting. I like using fat as a tool to reduce our hunger and cravings in the beginning until we can get to the longer fasting. And then we don't need to do that anymore. And then you can maintain wherever you're at. And what is intermittent fasting and how does it work? Again, extending our window of eating into fat burning mode for a couple of hours without putting too much stress on the body. So about 12 hours, after about 12 hours, your body starts to burn fat. Now, it's not going to burn the fat around your waist right away. If you have a fatty liver and you have clogged arteries, it says, I can't live long with a fatty liver or clogged arteries, but I could live a long time with a lot of fat around my waistline or my arms. So it doesn't look at that fat as a priority until it starts to burn through the other stuff. This is where people have a lot of problems. So I'm not going to go through these, but intermittent fasting, 1 to 3 hours after eating. You can look at these afterward on the replay. 3 to 9 hours. This is a step-by-step. You don't really need to know about all this, but it's basically reprogramming your body to start to burn the fat that's stored in your liver and around your waistline and in your arteries versus, the traditional way of making energy is sugar. So once your body go into starvation mode, how come I'm so hungry all the time? Well, again, it's hormonal. And if you're not making energy, let's say your cells are insulin resistant. So you're not getting sugar into the cells to make energy. And if you do have insulin in your system, the fat burning hormone glucagon will not work. Glucagon only works when you have no insulin in your system. So you can't burn fat either. What are you doing? You're at a metabolic halt. Those are the people who have brain fog, no energy, malaise. They're just walking around like they're high on pot or something. They have no motivation, no energy, no drive, because their brain is the higher function of the brain shut down because they're not making enough energy to support it. This is the problem with the traditional way the American diet works. And I will add here, and I get crammed for this on my programs and live all the time, is fruit is very sweet. It's been bred in a way to make it sweeter because they found out that people buy 15% more of it, and fructose goes into your liver and stops fat burning. And so, yes, we have to even reduce our fruit consumption, which is very sweet, and it's causing a lot of problems. And fructose is very toxic to the body if you have too much of it. Once you get to a better place, you can have more fruit. And there's ways to go about eating the fruit and what time of day, how to burn it off better so it's not affecting you. But we have a problem in this country. We have way too much sugar, and fruit is a big problem. And people love fruit. They think it's healthy for them. It is. I'm not going to say that fruit is not healthy, but the sugar in it is not healthy. I don't care where the sugar comes from. It gets to be toxic, and fructose goes through the liver differently. I have a colleague of mine who me and him are going to be doing a talk on this. He gets killed for it online too. And he's a very intelligent guy. He has a program that he runs as well on insulin-friendly lifestyle. And this is where I've learned a lot of my stuff from him. And I'm always constantly learning new stuff. So your body won't go into starvation mode. You have plenty of stores of fat in your liver. You have enough energy stored in your body to walk from here to LA and back if it can convert it fast enough. So you're not going to go into starvation mode by going a 16-hour window. That being said, if you've never fasted, maybe the first place to start is eating 3 meals a day and no snacks. That would be a good place to start, especially if you eat 6 meals a day and you're a grazer who just picks at things that are on the counter and in the fridge, and then the nuts and seeds and cracker and have this and here and there. That's almost the worst thing you can do, because you never give a long enough window of time to start burning fat. That's one of the big things. And how come I'm so hungry? Because your bodies aren't making energy. It's triggering you to say, I need to eat because I'm not making energy. And every time you eat, it makes your problem worse. So what to expect? How much weight will people lose? I've had people lose 13 pounds in a 5 or 6 day period. That was not very common. Some people don't lose anything. Some people might gain a little bit, because as you start to burn fat, a lot of your body stores the toxins in the fat cells. And what happens? You release toxins when you start burning fat, and your body dilutes them with more water. So if someone gains weight on these kind of diets, don't focus on the scale. Focus on getting healthy. How do I get started? Well, I'm going to have daily check-ins. Do I need to measure anything? You can measure your waist. You can measure your weight. You can make 1 or 2 measurements. Do you need to take anything? You don't need anything, but if you had electrolytes around, these are the brand that I like, Relight. These are electrolyte mix from the Redmond Sea Salt Company. I have an account with them. I put it up on if anyone wants to order any. I just got involved. The Biotics Research is one of my favorite companies. They did an electrolyte forte. This has more like potassium, magnesium, chromium than the other ones, and it has less salt. So some people don't like the salt content from this. I did a podcast episode with the guy that owns this, one of the owner's sons that does this company, and they were explaining why their electrolytes are better than others. He said it's because in Utah, there was an ocean that never had a boat in it, never had contamination, and it dried up, and they get all their salt from there. Almost every electrolyte company on the planet gets theirs from the ocean, which is contaminated and has a lot of toxins in it. And theirs is healthier. It has less toxins in it, and they have more potassium and magnesium, and they're very low in sugar, and they taste really good, this Relight company. And there's also the pH drops. But I've been using these, and I'm liking these, and I don't like to do one thing all the time because the body gets used to it. I use electrolytes more when I'm dehydrated, when I need a little hydration. I am sensitive to too much salt, so I don't try to do too much salt. Like if I do, butter in my coffee, it'll be the unsalted kind. I'll have some electrolytes to stay healthy. The intermittent fasting, detox, and biohackery guide, that's downloadable in the guide section. Yeah, we already went over some of this. So there's only 2 fuel sources, sugar and carbs. In the absence of sugar, your body's going to burn fat. And protein is not one of them. As a matter of fact, if you eat more protein than you need, your body will convert about 50 to 60% of that protein into sugar. And that's where people on low carb diets can have big insulin responses. Who are eating high protein diets, that's why I don't like them. And the other problem that occurs sometimes is that, high protein has a lot of acid in it, and you cause acidity levels to go up. And, it's a mess. People argue all the time, these weightlifting guys, you need this much. Your body recycles about 600 grams of protein a day from your cells. And the more protein you eat, the less it recycles. So it's going to be a trade-off problem. And I think we eat too much protein in this country as well. So we already went over this. Hip to waist ratio, weight, BMI. If anyone wants to come in and use the handheld, I don't care if they do it, if they want to measure where they are. Even if you're not a patient, I don't mind you coming in the office and just grabbing the handheld. If you eat more sugar than you need, what happens? Your body stores the excess sugar as fat in the liver, glucose to glycogen, and there's the big problem. We already went over intermittent fasting, what causes cravings. We went over that. Glucagon is the fat burning hormone. Cortisol blocks glucagon. So again, you have too much stress. That's a major contributing factor. It's going to be very hard to burn fat. And how much easier would life be without cravings? If you start doing intermittent fasting and getting your cells acclimated to going back and forth of burning fat or sugar, you start to reduce your cravings. Willpower runs out eventually. Everyone, if you're just doing a traditional diet, that's what amazed me when I started really doing this the right way, is that all your hunger goes away. You don't feel like eating. You could be around sweets, you can be around junk and not have to eat all the time. And when your body burns fat as a fuel for up to 4 times the amount of energy, yeah, we went over all that. Don't want to, body will always use sugar as its first fuel source. This means we extend our window of eating. Let's see. Yeah, people's bodies aren't used to doing this. There's biohacks. In my longer challenges, we dive deeper into intermittent fasting and longer fasting. We definitely do. Longer fasting is good for epigenetics, activating the right genes, cleaning out the organs, rebuilding and repairing, healing joints, genes, membranes, resetting hormones. Yeah, yeah, when your body is used to burning sugar, it is not good at burning fat. At the beginning of intermittent fasting, your body will feel tired, lightheaded, dizzy, cold sweats, bloating. I mean, if you ever start to go on a low carb diet, feeling going to pass out, you have some sugar, it'll instantly go away. The detox will stop. And that's the big problem, is that your body's so addicted to sugar. It's an addiction to sugar. And it's almost like passing out or lightheaded. That's what people do when they don't take their drugs. We're addicted to the sweets. I mean, they did an experiment with rats and cocaine, and they gave them sugar and cocaine out there in their maze. Eventually, they only ate sugar because it was more addictive than the cocaine was. Crazy. Yeah, benefits. We're starting to reduce insulin resistance, better gut health. Here's what a 16-8 window would look like, the fast. But what you eat before and after your fast is what makes or break the fast. If you're going to have, if you want to eat lunch and dinner, or dinner and lunch, lunch and dinner, or breakfast and lunch, and then skip a meal, they say you shouldn't eat past, try to not eat past 6 or 7 o'clock so you can sleep better. Lunch is salads and having, you want to stay away from seed oils. I get into that maybe tomorrow with inflammation, but canola oil, bad oil. Most of the soy, vegetable oil, bad oil. The only oils I recommend using: extra virgin olive oil, coconut oil, avocado oil, and then maybe MCT oil. And that's about the extent of it. Most of the other ones are garbage, and they're in fillers with everything. And what you eat before and after your fasting is what makes or breaks a fast. If you have a salad with, vegetables and some apple cider vinegar with some extra virgin olive oil, you can extend your window of not breaking the fast. And what happens is you start to reduce inflammation even better. I have a link to make this easier if anyone wants to get some of those electrolytes, and you could use code Dr. Brian for 15% off. This is the link. It's going to be on there. I have the link. If anyone wants it, I can send it to you as well. High fat coffee or a high fat breakfast, butter or coconut oil in your coffee. That was a life changer for me. When I started doing that, you don't have to do a lot of it in the beginning, just a little bit of fat. And what does fat make you? Satiated, makes you full. So when you have that fuel source, since there's two fuel sources, sugar and fat, and you're not eating, if you add some healthy fat, you're going to do a lot better. You got to be careful if you don't have a gallbladder with this, or if you have too much of a fatty liver, you start off slow. You don't want to produce too much bile too soon. Low carb, healthy fat shakes. But I've since changed my mind about some of the shakes, because I've read up that even protein powders like whey protein causes an insulin response because it's microprocessed. You don't see protein powders growing out in nature. You see real foods. All right, Sherry, what? Did you raise your hand, or was that an accident? All right. Okay. So let me see if there's any other questions on here on the live video feed as well while I'm here. All right. Yeah, fruit is the weakness. A couple people are watching here. Excellent. All right. So no questions on there so far, and we'll just continue. All right. What?
Thank you. I didn't see you place the hand, so I just figured I'd jump in.
Well, you can jump in, or anyone could write a question in the chat if they don't want to come on live, but I'm happy you came on live. So what is it?
Okay. Thank you. You mentioned earlier about, it sounded like a conglomerate of things, and you mentioned fatigue with the brain fog and motivation.
Yep.
So that's exactly what's going on with me. And there's this wheel. Mm-hmm. It seems like this wheel that's happening. And I bet I hope other people can relate to this, but it's a wheel of, I want to go to work out, but I don't have the energy to work out. And because I'm not working out, I don't have energy. So, and then it just keeps repeating itself. So I managed to get a workout in maybe once a week, mm-hmm. Without really forcing myself. And then, you know what I mean? The energy's there to do it. So right. I don't know what's going on with that.
Well, it sounds like your mitochondria not making enough energy. If If you make more energy than you need, you're going to have excess energy to think straight, to work out. Like a lot of times I'll work out on Wednesday morning at 6 in the morning, an intense workout, 6 to 7. I'll go to work all day, not eat. Sometimes I don't even have time to eat on Wednesday. I have an accountability meeting at 2:30. I'll see like 45 to 50 people that day. And then sometimes I won't even be hungry to eat at all that day. And I used to be like, I'd almost have to take a nap at lunch. I was not making energy efficiently because my body was, I believe I was pre-diabetic, even though I didn't know it. I thought I was working out and I was eating the traditional, the protein diet to build muscle and whole grains, and it's all myths. Your body's not making energy efficiently. You've got a metabolic syndrome problem. Like metabolic syndrome is 4 things. Yeah. If you've got high cholesterol, if you want to measure how well you're making energy, if you've got high cholesterol, high fasting blood sugar, if you've got high blood pressure, or a hip to waist ratio, if around your belly button is wider than around your hips, you've got metabolic syndrome. And the government deems that as you're not making energy properly and you're at a higher risk for stroke, heart attack, and cancer. It doesn't say what disease. It just says that you're not making energy properly. And if you can't make energy, your body can't fight disease. Your body can't be healthy. And then eventually your brain has a problem because it can't focus. And that's a telltale sign that, if you have different parts to your brain, you have a reptilian brain, a Labrador retriever brain, and then the human brain. And what happens is if you don't have enough energy, your body's going to always support the lowest reptilian brain, which is like you have a heartbeat, you digest your food, you have an immune system. It's going to support that. The next level up is like the golden retriever brain. They can learn things. They can have kids. They can have babies. They can think about things. They have emotions, but they're pretty basic of what they can do. And then you have the human brain, the human cortex. If you don't make enough energy for the reptilian or the Labrador retriever brain, it's not going to go to the memory and the cortex and make more dopamine and serotonin. A lot of that is from stress. Your gut is connected to your brain through the vagus nerve. And if your gut isn't happy and it's not, your gut is where a lot of your neurotransmitters are stored. Your serotonin, which gives you focus and ambition, and your dopamine, which makes you happy. And if your gut's a mess, you're not making those and your brain is deprived of those chemicals. So you're got malaise and unmotivated and you're tired and you're not making energy. And then if you do work out, since your body can't support its normal self, when it's not working out, it's even going to make it worse and it's going to be tired. Right. So I think that you don't need to work out more. I think you need to work on getting your insulin resistance and reducing inflammation and working on your gut and your liver so that your body can start making energy more efficiently. And once it does that, then I think you'll be able to work out a lot better.
Oh, all right. Thank you for that feedback. Thanks.
You're welcome. That's a great question. Now, I'm looking on the live feeds here. Does anyone, Julianne said fruit, inflammation is a weakness. We're going to be going over inflammation tomorrow, but a lot of people have, some people don't want to give up their fruit. A lot of people don't want to give up their stuff. I mean, I see people with chronic problems all the time. They have sciatica and they've got, Lyme disease and they've got autoimmune problems and Meniere's and rheumatoid arthritis and Crohn's disease and a lot of thyroid problem. I've never seen so much chronic inflammation and hip replacements and knee replacements and shoulder replacements. And this is why I started this, because all my clients have all these chronic problems and the medical world just wants to diagnose you with a symptom, give you medication or pills. Like basically the medical world thinks that you were born with a lack of drugs in your system and you were born with too many organs and that's your problem. And we have to take them out. There's too many parts. We have to put new ones in, or we have to load you up with more medication. It used to be 20 years ago when people came in, they knew the 1 or 2 medications they're taking. Now they have a sheet of 10. All right, Brenda Lee, awesome. You are so welcome. So this is what happens is I tried to build my own health program because I didn't see any out there that connected to the nervous system, the hormone system. There's plenty of weight loss programs out there. Like that's boring to me. I know a lot of people want to lose weight, but that's the low hanging fruit. That's not the big problem. Big problem is stress, gut health. You're not making the chemicals that make your brain work right. The brain gets plaque built into it. And eventually you get dementia and Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. You decrease your life expectancy or your quality of life. And that's where the big problems lie. So lifestyle, it's not a weight loss. We already did that, I think. Yeah. The lifestyle change is not a weight loss diet. It's a hormone nervous system balancing diet that helps balance your gut and your cells. It's a process that takes time. The side effect of getting healthy is weight loss, aches and pains, more energy. That's when you know, like you get biofeedback from your body. When you start feeling like I get up in the morning, I'm ready to go. I'm energized. I get a good night's sleep. I can get more based on my energy system. I can get 6 hours of sleep and have more energy than the average person who gets 8 hours of sleep. So what do I get? 2 more hours that other people don't get during the day. And it's like an unfair advantage. That's why I called it this, because when you start thinking straight, when you start making more energy, when your brain starts working at a higher level, I mean, I'm not reading off a teleprompter here. I used to, if you counted how many, and pauses and I wasn't thinking straight, my brain is working at a whole nother level. I wish I would have had this in college and it would have been a whole different outcome. But, we have to go through our journeys of finding out who we are. And, I wouldn't be able to help you guys if I didn't have the same problems that some of you have. And we all have our issues. No one's perfect. And the big view is you don't have to do this forever. It doesn't have to be a strict diet. You get healthy and then you do the 80-20, which is 20% of the time you can have adult beverages. You can go out. I do fasting all day Saturday. So when me and my wife go on a date night, I can have pasta. I can have bread. I can have adult drinks. The Sunday morning, I have breakfast with my kids and I can have and indulge. And that's what I try to do so I can live a life that it's not just a strict diet lifestyle where I can't have anything. Some people, it's all or nothing and they become, I call them like they're born again ketos. I call them. They just low carb and they freak out if they have any carbs and they're counting it. I don't want to get to the point where you have to do that. I also, if I ever see any of you at a restaurant and you're eating pasta and French fries, I do not judge people. I think we need to live a life and we need to enjoy life and have an ice cream sundae every once in a while and enjoy life. But there are biohacks to burn that off faster. There's digestive enzymes and gut health. Advice on getting good sleep. Yes, Luis, she's asking advice on getting good sleep. Here's my take on sleep. Amino acids are unusable amino acids, which are from proteins in your gut, make dopamine and serotonin. How do you make melatonin? You need serotonin to make melatonin. What happens? If your gut's a mess, you're not making enough melatonin. Number 2, LED lights. If you're in front of bright lights all the time at work, if you're in front of LED bright screens, if you come home to your 70-inch TV, it's telling your brain it is nighttime, it is 12 o'clock in the day, and you won't make melatonin for another 2 hours unless you're wearing something like these or red glasses at night. These are my yellow light canceling glasses, but these block out a lot of the blue light. LEDs, light emitting diodes, are blue light. They tell your brain and they shut off your production and your pineal gland of melatonin. That's one of the problems, and gut problems. You have to clear out your gut. You have to start doing the percentage of bad bacteria overwhelm the percentage of good bacteria, and then you can't make melatonin and you can't sleep, and then your mood's affected. Almost every kid with mental health disorders has bloated guts, gas, constant cravings, and their gut's a mess. Their farts smell because they're not digesting their food properly, and when that starts to happen, the kids are already having problems and they're eating genetically modified foods. No one's telling them about probiotics. They're not eating a gut-friendly lifestyle diet. That affects their vagus nerve, which affects their mood. And now they're in a fight flight. They're angry. And that's the problem. That could go on and on. So is it good to just start with less sugar? Yes. It's good to, Kimberly Wolf, it's good to start with less sugar, eating less and less often, and maybe halving your sugar intake, and then not being a snacker. Just try to go to 3 meals a day and start to half your sugar intake or quarter your sugar intake slowly, if you know what that is. If you eat sandwiches, eat the last part of it, of the meat and the vegetables, and throw it out, or start putting lettuce or making peppers and cut them in half and make them sandwiches. We go over these strategies, and I don't have time to go over all this stuff, but we do this in the longer challenges of strategies to do this. How do we start to lower our carb intake? What can we replace those things that we like bread and wheat and grains and the, Dr. Perlmutter has a book called Grain Brain. It's about how grains are screwing up your brains. They're genetically modified. They mess up your gut, all these things. So it's hugely important. Now, it's not easy to do this alone. Accountability is the key. We're doing this together. We're checking in daily. So now I'm going to stop the live feed. I'm going to stop the screen sharing right now. And all right. So now we're on here. And does anyone have any questions? I'm looking online as well. There's about 5 or 6 people on. There's been 8, 10 people on there. We're opening up to some questions. I have the live feed in here, and then somebody sent me a message too. So I'm going to get out of there and try to see if someone sent me a message in the group. All right, Bruce. Yeah, someone checked in. Yep. Joanne, Monica, different people checked in. Some people sent me. And then some people sent me in the group in the live chat some questions. All right. Does anyone have any questions or want to come on? You have anything else? Like, I would start with less sugar, halving your sugar intake, go to 3 meals a day, start to increase your healthy fat intake a bit. And that will make you less hungry. And then your body's going to have to detox. It's going to get used to making energy differently. You don't want to throw a high fat diet at it right off the bat. You want to kind of slowly ease into it. And that's why like the electrolytes, drinking more water every day to flush out the toxins, working on the liver. There's things to work on the liver, just detoxing the body and bringing down the inflammation levels. And we're going to go over inflammation tomorrow night. But I think that's enough for tonight. I don't want to go too far over. Thank you everyone for coming on. Hopefully you learned something and you could bring your questions with inflammation tomorrow. And thanks for coming on here, and we'll see you tomorrow. Good night. And you can ask questions in the feed in the Unfair Advantage free Facebook community. If you have questions afterward that you have, I'll be happy. I'll be looking at that. Have a good night.